Welcome student. Today we will see about the nervous system part 2. In part 2, first of all we will see the division of nervous system. The central nervous system is basically divided into two parts, that is central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system, it is the center of control and coordination of all body activities. It consists of brain and spinal cord. And the peripheral nervous system or PNS, it includes the nerves that brings sensory impulses to the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, and transmit motor impulses from CNS or central nervous system to effector organs. It consists of somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. So first we will start from human brain. So this is the internal structure of human brain. In human brain, the weight of the human brain is about 1.4 kg and the volume of human brain is 1500 centimeter cube. It is volume in adult person. Mainly the brain is made up of 100 billions neurons. You can imagine. It is encased in a bony case called cranium. This is cranium. This is enclosed in a cranium outermost. The cranium protects the brain from outer shocks. It protects the brain from external injuries. The brain is covered with three meninges. These are the meninges. Just below skull there is meninges. These meninges also protect the brain from external injuries and they also provide the nourishment to the brain. There are three meninges in the human brain. Those meninges from outer to inner side. First one is dura mater and the second one is arachnoid and the third one is pia mater. The dura mater is the outermost and the innermost is pia mater. So one fluid is present between these three membranes. You can see there are three meninges, 1, 2, 3. These three membranes having some gap. That gap is called meningeal gap, and this meningeal gap adds one fluid that is called cerebrospinal fluid, or in short we call CSF. Its main function, the main function of CSF is to protect the brain from shocks and jerks because it acts as a cushion. It provides protection and it also helps in the nourishment of the brain. Sometimes it removes the waste product from the brain. Brain matter. So there are two types of brain matter. Brain matter, it is a fluid which is filled in the brain and as well as in the spinal cord. That fluid is called brain matter. The nervous system matter consisting of the brain, that is differentiated into two, that is grey matter and white matter. Grey matter, which forms the surface layer of the brain. Surface layer of the brain is formed by the grey matter. And one more fluid is present, one more matter is present, that is called white matter. This white matter is found or is present in the inner side of the brain. So in grey matter that remains in the cortex region, that is having the cell body of the neurons. Neurons we have already read that neurons is present in the grey matter, or cell body is present. Its cell body is present in the grey matter. And in white matter the axon of the neuron is present. Axon of the neuron is present. Now divisions of brain. So there are three parts of the brain. The forebrain, this front part is called forebrain, and the middle part, this part you can see in the diagram, is called midbrain, and the last part is called hindbrain. This is hindbrain. And the base of the brain, that is called medulla oblongata. This is the brain stem and it leads into the long extension that is called spinal cord. So we will start from the forebrain. Forebrain means the front part of the brain. This part of the brain is called forebrain. So for forebrain, the parts which are present in the forebrain, they are cerebrum, diencephalon and thalamus. Cerebrum, second, this is cerebrum. Cerebrum is also the largest part of the brain. Then second part is diencephalon. Diencephalon we will study in detail after in this chapter only. And the third one is thalamus. Thalamus, you can see its location is here. Thalamus is located here. Now the first one is the cerebrum. So cerebrum is the largest part. This is the largest part of the brain. This part is the largest part of the brain and is most highly developed in human. It is overshadowing, so other parts are hidden because it is the largest part, so it hides all the parts which are present in the brain. Those are hidden by the cerebrum. We can't see from the front side of the brain. So the brain is divided, the cerebrum is divided into two hemispheres. That is called, we will see this hemisphere. So cerebrum is divided into two parts, or cerebrum is made up of two parts. The hemisphere, they are called hemisphere, the right hemisphere and left hemisphere. Cerebrum is divided into two hemispheres. Those hemispheres are called right hemisphere, left hemisphere. This is right part, right side, so this is right hemisphere. This is left side, so this is left hemisphere. This is left hemisphere, this is right hemisphere. These two hemispheres are separated by corpus callosum. Corpus callosum is the separator which keeps the two hemispheres separate. Its main function, the main function of corpus callosum is to transmit the information from one hemisphere to other hemisphere. And you should remember one thing, that the right hemisphere controls the actions of the left part of the body, and the left hemisphere controls the action of right part of the body. Means the left hand, its movement is controlled by the right hemisphere, and right hand, its movement is controlled by the left hemisphere. So this is the different divisions of cerebrum. How they are divided, we will see here. This is frontal lobe, and this is parietal lobe, this is occipital lobe, and this is temporal lobe. Each lobe is responsible for some specific function. This temporal lobe is responsible for listening, hearing. This is responsible for auditory system. We can listen the sound because of this auditory part of the cerebrum, and this is temporal lobe. And the frontal lobe of the cerebrum is responsible for thought, thinking, reasoning. This parietal lobe is responsible for sensory sensation. We can have the sensation of eye, nose, ear. These sensations are received or analyzed by this parietal lobe. And the occipital lobe is responsible for visuals. We can see the things because of this occipital lobe. These are the different divisions of the cerebrum. Now the diencephalon. Diencephalon consists of thalamus and hypothalamus. You can see thalamus and hypothalamus. Thalamus and hypothalamus. Thalamus and hypothalamus. Thalamus and hypothalamus. They combine together to form diencephalon. Diencephalon consists of, or together we call them diencephalon. Thalamus serves as relay center. This is the relay center. Thalamus is the relay center for sensory and motor impulses from spinal cord and medulla to various parts of the cerebrum. It regulates manifestation of emotions, recognize the sensory impulses of heat, cold, pain, light and pressure. Hypothalamus, it is located below the thalamus. You can see the location of hypothalamus is below thalamus. Hypothalamus is located below thalamus. So this hypothalamus is mainly responsible for controlling the food intake, thirst, body temperature, thermoregulation, regulate the hormonal secretion of pituitary gland, which in turn control various endocrine glands, controls the behavioral pattern of sleep and pattern. This is controlled by this hypothalamus. Mostly the functions which are involved may be some involuntary. And the midbrain, you can see this is the midbrain, the second part of the brain. Midbrain has group of nerve fibers which connect the forebrain and hindbrain. This is the connector of forebrain and hindbrain. This midbrain connect the hindbrain and the forebrain. And it also has 4 optic lobes which are center of vision. Midbrain serve as relay center for auditory information in the thalamus and cerebral cortex. Hindbrain is the last part of the brain. So this hindbrain consists of cerebellum, pons varolii or medulla oblongata. There are 3 parts: pons, medulla oblongata and cerebellum. These are the 3 parts of hindbrain. This cerebellum is also called little brain. It is the second largest part of the brain, but much smaller than the cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest, and the cerebellum is the largest in the hindbrain, but still it is smaller than the cerebrum. It is also divided into 2 hemispheres, but they don't have convolutions. Outer cortex made up of gray matter and encloses the centrally located white matter. Pons varolii, you can see pons. This is pons. Pons varolii, it is thick bundle. It is the thick bundle. This pons, thick bundle of fibers on the under surface of the cerebellum and connects 2 hemispheres. It functions as a relay center of transferring impulses from one hemisphere to the other hemisphere in cerebellum. The last part, that is medulla oblongata. This medulla oblongata is the base of the brain or brain stem. It is formed of white matter externally and the gray matter internally and continues behind the spinal cord. It leads to the spinal cord downside.